In this tutorial we'll be taking our about 15 FPS and use FSR2 to change that 15 FPS to around 30 or change it to even around 45. Which is an almost 3%, or not 3%, almost a 3 times increase in FPS. I'll show you how to add FSR2 to your project files so that you can actually export and package it with your project files so all your players can actually use FSR2. I'll show you how to add the quality settings. I'll even show you how to add the sharpness. So without further ado, let's get into the video. But first, actually a warning. In this tutorial we will convert a Blueprint project into a C++ project so we can compile and include the FSR2 plugin in our package build. This does not mean you need to use C++ at all, it just means that the project is considered a C++1 by Unreal Engine. C++ projects add additional steps to engine upgrades and other aspects of Unreal Engine. It is recommended that you make a backup of your project files, so you can revert if anything goes wrong. You will need to install Visual Studio for this tutorial, but I do provide install instructions in this tutorial. So now we can start the tutorial. Okay, for everyone who followed my previous FSR tutorial, if you didn't follow it, you can just skip this section. We need to undo a few stuff we did. The only thing we really have to undo is just disable the FSR2 plugin and actually install it in the correct location. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our FSR project. This is my FSR project. I'm going to go to top left, go to edit, go to plugins. I'm just going to search for FSR and I just want to disable FSR 2.2, and then finally all you really want to do is just want to close Unreal Engine down. You don't even have to worry about restarting as long as this is disabled. And then finally you want to navigate to your Unreal Engine install, aka the last place we installed the FSR plugin in the last video, and you just want to go ahead and you want to open up that UE install, go to engine, go to plugins and go to the runtime folder if you scroll down, and then you just want to take this AMD folder and delete it. Of course you want to do that as the engine is turned down and the plugin is disabled, but yes, you just want to delete the entire AMD folder unless you have some other AMD plugins. In that case, just delete the FSR folder. Okay, and that is just catching up to speed with this tutorial, so we can actually move on to everything relating to this tutorial. Okay, now the next step is to actually install Visual Studio. If you also have installed Visual Studio and configured it for Unreal Engine, you can just go ahead and skip this part as well. But for everyone who hasn't configured Visual Studio, you just want to go to this website I've linked down in the description, and you want to scroll down a bit until you find the Meet the Visual Studio family. There's going to be 3 options: Visual Studio, Visual Studio Code, and Visual Studio for Mac. Mac is useless for me because, you know, I have a Windows PC. Visual Studio Code is my preferred editor, but it has too much setup. Visual Studio is the easiest to set up in my personal opinion for Unreal Engine. So all you want to do is you want to hover on the Download Visual Studio button and select the Community 2022 version. You just want to left click it and this will download that file, but I already downloaded that file, so I can just go ahead and close that up, and here is the file downloaded. So all I want to do is go ahead and open it up. When you open it up, it's going to ask for admin permissions, so you just want to go ahead and give it admin permissions, and after it has started, you'll get this pop-up. You just want to go ahead and click continue. And then finally you're going to reach this screen. Now this is where you can actually install add-ons for Visual Studio. Now there is a few I actually really need for this, so preferably you want to scroll down until you find the desktop and mobile section. You want to select .NET Desktop Development. You want to select Desktop Development with C++. You want to select Universal Windows Platform Development. And then finally you want to select Game Development with C++. And then once you have selected the Game Development with C++, you just want to scroll down until you find the Unreal Engine installer, and all you want to do is go ahead and tick that on. That provides the best result with Unreal Engine in my opinion. And now you have 2 ways of installing this. Oh wait, an important thing you can do is you can go to the top here and there's going to be installation location. You can change this to a new location if your C drive has very low storage and you just want to use a D drive or something, but I'm gonna leave it on C drive. But anyway, there's going to be 2 two options for downloading. If you go to the bottom right, you can click on this install while downloading, and you have two options: install while downloading. So while you're downloading, it's going to override, or it's going to overwork your hard drive by installing this, or you can make it download all then install. If you want to use your computer during the download, this is the bottom one is preferred, but I'm just gonna go with install while downloading, and all you want to just do is click install, and once you do that, it's going to bring up this bar, and this is going to take a while, so see you guys after it's done. Okay, and the installation is fully complete, and by default it should start up Visual Studio. If it didn't, you just want to go ahead and open up Visual Studio. I prefer to open it up before we get into Unreal Engine, because I find sometimes if Unreal Engine starts it first, there's like a few bugs. So you just want to click skip this for now, change the theme to whatever you want. I'm going to use dark, and I'm going to start Visual Studio, and this might take a few minutes. Okay, and here's Visual Studio ready to go. We can just go ahead and exit that. We can also exit the installer because we're fully done with that. Okay, so down in the description there'll be a link to the FSR2 plugin. It's this website over here, and there's going to be this download button. You just want to click on download Unreal Engine FSR2 plugins. You can see above the download button there is the latest supported version of Unreal Engine. Currently 5.2.1 is the latest, and the latest official version is 5.3. So this is a version behind currently. So you just want to make sure this supports the version you want, and then you just want to click download. I already clicked download, so now I have the files. So now I'm ready to actually put this in my project. So what you want to do is go ahead and open up an Unreal Engine project, or at least get an Unreal Engine project ready. So let me go ahead and do that. And here I have a project, namely called project. So what I'm going to do is install FSR to this project. Now that's pretty easy to do. What I want to do is go ahead and go to the folder of your project. Here I actually have my folder from my documents folder. If you don't know where your install is, or your project files, all you want to do is right click on the folder in your content browser and show in Explorer, and that will take you to your project files. But now that I'm here at my project files, here we have the config content intermediate saved folder. I just want to go ahead and right click and create a new folder, and I'm just going to name this folder plugins. And here I want to go ahead and drag my FSR file in I downloaded. So let me go ahead and get that. So if you download the FSR2 plugin, you're going to get the zip file. You just want to go ahead and extract that. When you extract that and open it up, you're going to find this FSR2.2.1 folder. Once you open it up, you're going to get a few FSR folders. Now the numbers at the end of this FSR folders actually have a meaning. So 520 is 5.2, 510 is 5.1, 500 is 5.0. You get the gist. Currently the latest version is 5.2 as of recording, so I'm going to use 5.2, and there's going to be free stuff. Lit reactive shading model. You want to apply this if you built the engine from source, but I didn't build the engine from source. This helps with the FSR quality. You can look into the documentation about it. There's the FSR2 movie render pipeline. That's if you want to render with FSR2, like make your own movies and stuff. I don't really care about that. And here we have our FSR2 folder. So all you want to do is go ahead and drag your FSR2 folder in the new plugins folder you created. I'm gonna copy it over. Okay, and once it's copied, we can go ahead and start converting our project into a C++ one. Because this plugin, well, it might seem like a normal plugin, it isn't actually. It needs to be compiled in C++, and for that to work, we need to convert our project to a C++ one. Now remember, converting your project to C++ one, you can still code in Blueprint, nothing changes, but it is dangerous, so I'd prefer you make backups. It's not dangerous, but like if you're not 100% sure what you're doing, you could screw stuff up. So yeah, I would make backups of the project. Anyway, now that we have everything set up, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to top left, go to edit. I'm going to go to the editor preferences, and I'm going to go ahead and go to the source code here next to under general. I want to click on that, and I want to change the source code editor from Visual Studio to Visual Studio 2022. I found that works a bit better. And now we can go ahead and set up a C++ project. So we're going to go to top here in the top bar. We're going to go to tools. We're going to create a new C++ class over here. We're going to change it to type of none. And it's fine if it's just called my class. It's not going to have any code. And we just want to go ahead and create class. Click that button. And now it's going to add the C++ code. Okay, and now it's going to tell me project now includes sources. Please close the editor and build from your IDE. So we're going to actually follow the instructions. So we're going to say yes, and then it's going to ask us about if we want to edit the code now. We're going to say no, and we're going to close down our editor. That's really important. And now we're going to go back to our project files. So I'm going to go back to my project files over here. And what I want to do is I want to open this project.sln. Well, it's practically, this will be called whatever your project is, right? So in my case, it's called project. You just want to go ahead and double click that, and you want to select Visual Studio 2022 and just click always, because I want to always open it up with that. Okay, and now that it's open and ready to go, all you want to do is you want to go to top left next to file, edit, view, get. You don't just want to go to this build button over here, and all you want to do is go to build, hover on build, and you want to select the build project. It's fine if you don't have this UE5 thing, but you just want to build. That's all you really want to do. So I'm just going to build my project, and this is going to take time because it's kind of like compiling code and blueprints, just like it takes a bit longer on C++. So see you guys after it's done. Okay, and as you can see, we have a build succeeded here on the bottom left, and the log is fully complete. So all we have to do now is close VS Studio, so yeah, Visual Studio, and you can just go ahead and open up your project. It's actually quicker to just go ahead and double click open here, and then I'm going to open my project. This might take a while to launch now because it like builds and compiles stuff, so see you guys when it's open. Okay, now we're back, and you can see here in the bottom right, there's this project file is out of date. Would you like to update it? You just want to go ahead and say update. And now, you might not know it, but FSR2 is actually installed. So if we go to top left and go to edit, and we go to plugins, and we search for FSR, this FSR2 is here and it is installed. And if I go close out of that, I go to top left and I go to edit, go to project settings, I scroll all the way down until I get to plugins. You'll see this Fidelity FX Super Resolution 2.2. So here we have FSR fully installed, and let's quickly test if we can actually package this project, because previously we couldn't package this project. So let's test that by closing that down. We're going to go to platforms, we're going to go to Windows, we're going to set it to shipping because that's like the setting you use for shipping games, right? We're going to click on platforms again, go to Windows, and we're going to package the content. I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to rename this to package the game. And I'm going to go ahead and open it up and select the folder. And now I'm going to have this packaging project for Windows. I'm going to click show output log, and then here I can see when it packages. So if it packages, I'll show you guys, and we can move on to explaining how you interface with FSR2, how you set up commands, how you set up graphics settings, and stuff like that. Okay, and now it is fully packaged. I'm going to show you that if I go to my search in my log and type in FSR2, you can see it mounted the plugin and also went ahead and compiled it. So let's go ahead to see if we can actually launch our package game. So I'm going to go to my content browser, I'm going to go to package game, Windows, and double click to open it, and you can see now it's going to launch, and yeah, my project's fully working. It didn't give any error for FSR2. So that means we can move on to actually explaining how to add FSR2 to your project. So I'm going to move over to other project where I actually set up like all the code and that, and then I'll give you a rundown on what you need. So see you guys there. Okay, so here I have the new project files that I've been working on. It's currently including an asset from the store that's like a bank type thing. I'll have a link down to the description to get it if you want that. But what I'm going to show that is if I hit play and I move around, you can see I have pretty low FPS. Like I don't have an FPS counter on, but you can see the lag. It's like pretty bad. So let's see what FSR can do for us. So how do we set up FSR? Well, if I hit play again and I press E, I have this menu. Insert name here is game dev FSR 2.2 test. So here, if I click on FSR 2 quality, I have a few settings. I have off, which says it's using TSR, but I'm actually not using any anti-aliasing. Then I have quality, balanced, performance, and ultra performance. Also added a sharpening filter and an FPS counter. So let me show you how to add that to your game. So I'm going to go ahead and close that down, open up a content browser. I'm going to go to my content folder. I'm going to show you my widget blueprint. So let me just go ahead and open it up, and here it is. So the FSR2 quality is selected by this combo box. Then I have a slider for sharpness, and I just show the current FPS. So if I go to my graph, this is my set FSR2 quality mode. So to set your quality mode, all you have to do is enable FSR. So, okay, first thing, you see this r.anti-aliasing method.2. Well, if I go to my browser over here and I scroll down all the way to quality modes, and this, okay, so here, plugin configuration. The first thing we have to do is make sure that we're on temporal AA, right? So you want to set the anti-aliasing method to temporal AA, aka number 2. So you just want to use r.anti-alias method.2. You can also, of course, do that like game settings, setup in Unreal Engine, but this is like a quick and dirty tutorial, okay? Then you want to run r.fidelityfx.fsr2.enabled_1, and that is how you enable FSR. So if you ever move over to anything like DLSS or TSR, which is Unreal Engine's like version of FSR, then you just want to go ahead and disable Fidelity FX FSR2. But of course, when we set it to quality, you just want to, of course, enable it. So then there's this r.fidelityfx.fsr2.quality mode. So there's 4 quality modes of this plugin. There's quality mode 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 is quality, 2 is balanced, 3 is performance, and 4 is ultra performance. So quality is a 1.5 upscale, ultra performance is a 3 upscale. Okay? And that's kind of how we set the modes. But we actually have an interesting bug. I don't know really if it's a bug, but if you ever switch out your upscaler and you change the screen percentage, because sometimes you players would like to play with a lower resolution scale, I find that if the screen percentage ever changes, it kind of just breaks FSR, so it doesn't know how to set it up. So I actually cheat and go ahead and set the screen percentages myself. So for quality mode, you want to set the screen percentage to 67. That is a 1.5 upscale. For quality mode 2, aka balanced, you want to do a 59% screen scale. If you want to go for performance, you want to do a 50% scale, and then for quality mode 4, that is ultra performance, you want to do a screen percentage 33. Now, of course, if you want to disable FSR, you just want to go ahead and set Fidelity FX FSR to a dot enabled to 0, and then you want to change the anti-aliasing method. If you want to use 4, that will take you to TSR, but I set to 0 to just like go back to native rendering, and then I set the screen percentage back to 100. Okay, so that is sorted for the FSR quality settings. Now, how do we change the sharpness? Because in my opinion, the sharpness really like elevates the quality of FSR. So if we go back to the graph, here on the FSR slider, what we do is we of course change the text for this. So here I have a numeric value text. I change that to the sharpness value, but you can see here we execute a console command, r.fidelityfx.fsr2.sharpness space your value. So practically you want to make sure the command is anywhere from between 0 and 1, because my slider is practically 0, right? So you just want to make sure you do that. So 0 is 0% sharpness and 1 is 100% sharpness. Okay. And for the FPS, I just did this math, it just works. I also truncated so we don't have like that decimals going everywhere and just ruin everything. And yeah, this is generally the setup you need for FSR. It's just a weird thing that you have to set the screen percentage. But like I said, if the player ever adjusts the screen percentage, it kind of just breaks FSR currently. Okay, but that is everything set up, and that's the general thing you need to know to put that in your graphics settings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compile and save. and I'm gonna go back to this level. Now, FSR works the best when it is packaged or running in a separate window. So again, I'm going to prove this packages correctly by, well, packaging it. So I'm going to go to platforms button, I'm gonna go to Windows, I'm gonna set to shipping, which it already is. I'm going to package content, and I already have a package game here. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this folder, and I'm going to package in this package game folder once again. I'm going to show the output log, and now it's going to package, so see you guys when it is done packaging. Okay, and it's fully packaged up. You can see it did it with success. If I search FSR2 again, you can see it also like took in the parameters, and here you can see it compiled. So this was like in our testing, but here you can see it actually compiled over here. So let's go ahead and test that game. So here I have the package up game. I actually packaged it to the other project file by accident, but you can see it is my project 3. And if I go ahead and double click and open it up, then I should see if it loads up correctly. Here I am at the bank. If I press E, I now have an FPS bar. So let's go into the bank and let's press E. You can see I get about 20 FPS, which is pretty bad. If I switch this to quality and back here, this is actually 15 FPS on native rendering. So that's pretty bad. It is really choppy. So let's go ahead and turn this from native rendering to quality. And already you can see I get about like, let's say about 8 FPS extra. Now, of course, that isn't like groundbreaking or anything, but considering native rendering got about 15 FPS, that's a pretty big increase. That's like a 50% increase in FPS. And also we have a sharpness setting to play around with. So this defines how sharp the image is. Now, the Finn is right that I think 0.5 looks really good, but still we have pretty low FPS. So let's change this from quality to balanced. And now we're gaining about stable 25-26, which is getting closer to smooth console gameplay. Okay, let's go ahead and set this from balance to performance, and now we're practically constantly hitting about 30, or we're in the 30 range repeatedly. Now that means our FPS actually like doubled from the original FPS with performance, and now with ultra performance we're getting into the 40s, almost hitting the 50s. And yes, there is a lot of blurring, but it's still, if you really have nothing else to do and you really need that performance, this is, I mean, this is really helpful. Now, before I give my like final note, let's talk about FSR implementation, because I just showed you how to implement FSR basic, so it's like a basic implementation. But I mean, look at the ghosting on my character model. There's like this weird thing around the glow. It's really ghosting a lot, and that is where setting up FSR with the documentation, so just scrolling through the documentation and looking at all the options and stuff, will really go a long way in improving your FSR like outputs. But for me, I just wanted to show you a basic FSR setup, because even with a basic one, and yes, it has lower image quality, it already helps a lot with frame rate. So in my opinion, that's pretty cool. And yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. If you liked the content, please subscribe. Hit like if you liked the video, hit dislike if you didn't, and see you guys in the next one. Good night, everybody.
I'm just trying to get some